September 26th, 2011. This is what we did in class. Took notes. Students are always very excited about taking notes. Again, just pause this whenever you need to. The most important thing here, honestly, is the 90% of the population of Canada lives along the US-Canada border, and then, of course, there are some implications of that. Travel isn't necessarily a problem. Implications don't necessarily mean a bad thing either. But one of the things about 90% of the population of Canada living on that US Canada border is the concern that some of the Canadian culture is kind of being lost to the American culture. We talked about if you just kind of make a chart comparing Heartland, Atlantic, and Prairie provinces, what's the difference between each of these three? This would be a good matching section for the test. And then we talked about a market economy, again, just as a review. 75% of the workers are involved in the service industry, things not necessarily producing anything tangible anyway. And the agribusiness does make agricultural surplus possible. We've talked about agricultural surplus a lot of times, about the four keys to success and how agricultural surplus is one of those four keys. It's important that you review those four keys for the test also on this Thursday. And then we talked about the FTA, which developed into NAFTA or NAFTA, and then we'll talk more about NAFTA perhaps changing into the free trade area of the Americas later next week. But for now, we finished kind of with debt and deficit and the fact that the United States does have both. We also took a practice test. Rather than having all the answers here, just a very quick review just to make you listen to my boring voice. The United States and other nations have followed a similar pattern of changing forest to farmland, then farmland to cities. Percentage of the United States involved in agriculture is only 3. The kind of energy resource being researched and developed by the United States and Canada would be hydroelectric energy because of the water that's available, and also since not just an abundant resource, but it's also a cleaner fuel. Historic pull factors to the United States would be freedoms, both economic and political. Other historic pull factors would be the economy, a strong economy, and opportunities there economically in the United States. And we do have an abundance of resources. For the two things that brought immigrants to the United States in the 1800s, jobs is the easy answer, but more specifically, it would be jobs in the Transcontinental Railroad and also in industry of the North and Northeast. The 20th century events that proved to the world the United States is a world power would include World War I, the Depression, especially getting out of that Depression, World War II, and the Cold War. Percentage of the United States immigrants that are descendants of immigrants would be 99%. The people in the United States are moving from the Northeast to the South and the West. There were a bunch of different things that the United States leisure activities that we develop. The level of the United States, level of United States education system is post-secondary. That would be colleges and universities. Which leisure activities developed in the United States, there are all kinds of them. Lots of different types of music were developed here in the United States, including jazz, also rap music, country music, rock and roll. Also, leisure activities, baseball, basketball, skyscrapers were developed here, among other things. The United States only makes up about 5% of the world's population, but consumes 27% of its energy. Gentrification, the process of gentrification here, is that people will move into an area, it becomes overcrowded. As people leave, the area starts to deteriorate, and the value of the property diminishes. When the value of the property diminishes and pushes more people out, something will buy up that area, or a person or a group will buy up that area. When they buy up that area, then they build something nice there. They draws more people in. As more people are there, eventually it becomes overcrowded, and then the population will leave, and that whole cycle will continue. The difference between debt and deficit, again, we had talked about the debt is the total amount that you owe. The deficit is knowing that you're spending more than what you bring in. And then for this answer is true. False. This is a conservative federal government in the 1980s. Indiana has adopted English-only laws. That's true. The U.S. Constitution and Articles of Confederation were printed in German and English. That is not true. It was the Indiana Constitution, not the United States Constitution. And there's been a proposal to amend the Constitution to make English the official language. That is also true. I know this is more than 2 minutes, but I wanted to make sure that everybody had an opportunity to hear all the answers on this. The test is on Thursday. This is the last opportunity for you to do well for this quarter. The end of the quarter is next Friday, October 7th, so you need to do well now. If you missed today, you missed a whole lot.